Hello and welcome back to Talking Teens. I'm Narelle, and I'm so happy that you found me again for episode 11. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and be part of this community. I really appreciate it. If I sound a little bit nasally this week, it's because I have been out of action with a cold. I think I'm back, but the voice is still a little bit under the weather. And to kick things off this week, I want you to imagine you're looking at your teenager's or your child's latest report card. You see a comment from a teacher that says something like, needs to use class time more effectively to meet deadlines. And your first reaction might be frustration. You might think your kid's being lazy, or you might even blame the teacher or the subject and the content matter. But all you are seeing is the outcome or result of one term or one semester. As you read it, you might feel your blood pressure spike a little, your heart rate might go up a fraction, and you're feeling a little annoyed at your child and or their teacher. But as a teacher, I want to take you behind that comment and show you what's really going on in the classroom, because it's a picture that parents don't often get to see. Sometimes, but not always, what I see is not a lazy child, but a child who is a perfectionist, so terrified of getting something wrong that they struggle to even start. I see the quiet, telltale signs, the constant nail biting, the tiny, shredded up pieces of paper on their desk, the inability to make eye contact when I'm walking around the room offering help. On the most extreme and heartbreaking end of this, sometimes as teachers we see school refusal and in some cases self-harm. Students who are so overwhelmed that they just don't turn up at all, or who are hurting themselves to cope. And this might necessarily have been driven by all the schoolwork they're doing. It can be driven by other things. The gap between what a parent sees on a report card and what a teacher sees in the classroom can often be fueled by anxiety. And that's the fire we're stepping into today. In this episode, I have two things to talk about that I'll be expanding on. First, from my perspective as a teacher, I want to show you how anxiety can manifest in many different and often deceptive ways. And second, I want to talk about our role as parents in normalizing it and giving our kids the courage to persevere. Full disclosure though, I am not a trained psychologist or a mental health professional. Most teachers are not. That's what student services or the wellbeing staff are actually for. Anything I say is totally from my experience in dealing with young people. Teachers are often at the forefront and are the first to notice things. So if you disagree with anything I say because it contradicts something a trained psychologist has said, go ahead and believe them over me. I'm just giving my perspective and my experience gained over the years. And this is the candid part that I would like to share. Over my years in the classroom, many teachers, including myself, have seen a rapid rise in anxiety in students, and it is making our jobs harder and more complex. We deal with anxiety daily, and it looks different for every young person. It's the student who suddenly won't turn up to class, especially if there's a test. It's the one who will sit down the back of the room, trying to hide and not draw attention to themselves by sitting quietly. They're not always doing their work, but they're there and they're present. It's also the student who refuses or denies to engage in any class discussion, which means that as teachers, we need to manage their individual needs, and that's incredibly tricky, especially when there are 24 other young people in the room. The complexity is growing, and so we need parents to partner with us to help their kids build the skills to handle these feelings at home and outside of school. A high school teacher might only see your child for 1 hour a day. We can't do it all. So what can we actually do about this? How can you, as a parent, help with this if the behaviours I mentioned at the start, from a teacher's perspective, are beginning to occur and you're starting to notice? Where do we even start? It's time to get practical, and I've got some ideas you can try. First of all, You need to build a trusted support team. Your very first port of call should be your family GP or your family doctor. They can talk through your concerns and, if appropriate, put a mental health care plan in place, which is also the first step to getting access to a psychologist. And while you're on those long waiting lists, and yes, they are long, your next step is to make contact with the school. When you partner with us, we can make allowances to relieve the pressure. But if we don't know, we can't do it. So you need to let us know. What these allowances look like can be different for each student. It could be extra time to complete tasks, a reduced workload, but not the content material, just the amount or the volume. Or sometimes it can even be a modified timetable or a safe place where they can reset and have a bit of a chill out for 5 minutes. The second thing you can do as a parent at home is to offer a connection and not solutions. Your job is not to fix the anxiety. It is to offer love, understanding, and connection. Remind them that anxiety is a normal feeling. It's just what we do when we are faced with it that matters. You might let them know of a time where you have experienced anxiety yourself and what you did to overcome those feelings. It can be really helpful. The third thing you can do is give them an anchor when the seas get a bit stormy. They need something concrete to grab onto. They need a practical strategy to deal with these feelings. You can empower them with a tool they can use themselves when anxiety strikes at school or even at home. And no one will ever know. Discretion is the key here. One simple one is the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. This is a mindfulness tool from the world of therapy to manage anxiety. It's about using your 5 senses to get you out of your head and anchored into the present moment. It's all about calming down. You need to practice it with them. Here's how it works. When they feel their thoughts spiraling, they quietly identify 5 things they can see, 4 things they can feel, 3 things they can hear, 2 things they can smell, and 1 thing they can taste. It's a discrete tool that pulls their brain out of an anxious spiral. If you want, give it a try yourself and let me know how you go. And my final tip is one we sometimes forget when we are so focused and bogged down on the mental health side of things. And it is physical exercise, believe it or not. Help and encourage them to strengthen their physical foundation. You need to encourage the regular exercise. And you know what? The best way to do it is to do it with them. Go for a nightly walk or a stroll. Take the dog out and help them find a club to belong to. It can be really beneficial to have a separate circle of friends outside of the classroom for a lot of kids. And this looks like belonging to a team, whether it's a sports team, a drama club, or an art group, because they can be incredibly beneficial. They often provide a sense of community, a purpose, and a healthy outlet for stress. And when you put all these tips together, what you're really doing is building a safe harbour. The researcher Dr. Brené Brown has taught us that for a teen or a child or even anyone to admit they're struggling is a profound act of courage. And as Sir Ken Robinson argued, for that courage to actually flourish, they need a climate that makes it safe for them to be vulnerable. By being that safe harbour, you create the conditions for them to become the bravest version of themselves. So the final thought for today, anxiety, fear, these are all normal feelings. You don't need to fix it. What you need to do is understand it and allow your children the power to feel it. And then help them gain the control to work with it. Next time on Talking Teens, we are tackling the big one, social media. Are your kids passively consuming whatever the algorithm throws at them? Or are you teaching them how to train it? There's a big difference. From personal data to the hidden pressures that are fueling their anxiety, it can feel overwhelming for parents to keep up. Join me as we unpack the connection between screen time and the anxious brain and talk about what we as parents can actually do about it. Until then, remember that focus, connection over correction. This is Narelle, and you've been listening to Talking Teens. I'll catch you next time.